organizations, that is food processing equipment and tree felling equipment, because they went to the villages where we work and they are able to identify the problems the villagers are facing, that they need this equipment. Unfortunately, the company which we bought this equipment could not provide us with spare parts. And now we are in square one, because the people, the villagers, are now back to felling the tree with axes again, instead of the chainsaw, which the British High Commission bought for the organization. We wrote several letters to them. I don't want to mention names, but maybe later I will Mrs. Omotesho to give her the name of that organization, so that Peap or any other association will not fall into that same trap. Now this equipment bought for us by the British High Commission in thousands of naira amount could not be used by the villagers anymore. And the old equipment are now useless. They are not serving the people. And here's another company, which Nigeria-owned company, which is supposed to help the poor masses. Now they are adding more problems to the people in the villages. So they should be able to identify that. And please, secondly, on market rate, in which Dr. Akiola mentioned, I think we should look into it properly. If we want to talk about market rate interest for the people, we should not make it so high, because we are having the intention of helping them. Not to, if we want to go to the bank, we know we are going to the bank to borrow money. But since it's going to be free, it's going to be an alternative loan experience to us. So it should be in a lower rate than the market rate. Thank you.
Thank you. Local government.
And the seminars of this type should be organized for those at the grassroots level, so that we get more information to our people. And if we don't have the knowledge, those to impact the knowledge, if we are not strong enough to give them what they really deserve, then we are not imparting the right knowledge to these people at the right time.
Thank you.
And my question, madam, I want to know the effort being made to get credit to the larger part of these people. Since the majority of the people in the grassroots are in the cooperative groups, we still have some that are not. And in fact, they are not involved with this FSE. They are the literate, the low-income earners. They don't give a damn about what is going on. How do you involve them? How do you get them nearer to this fear before this year we are?
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Please, I'm taking two in each.
I have had a long experience, don't understand that the program is meant for them, and they are really suffering. My next point is, those who are interested in farming to produce more food for our people, how do they go about it? They have no land. You know the problem of land acquisition in Lagos State. My group, we have got the form from the ministry, but you know the protocol. How do we get this done early enough to start planting? We have organized women, they are interested in farming. How do we get the land?
Thank you. Please,
my name is Mrs. Titila Akindele, chairperson for Koja, local government. First of all, I would like to commend the presenters of the papers. The papers are well articulated. My question has been asked by the elderly woman, but I would like to ask something to buttress the point. It's in respect of land. I want to know whether the FIP program has earmarked some sites for the local government in the states for the FIP program. And how are they going to make this land available for the existing cooperative societies and the newly registered ones? Because those who already have land given to them by state government, they complain that the land given to them are being mesmerized by some people, sort of people, you know. So
thank you.
That's my question.
Thank you, madam. Please, I to land access to those ones may not be relevant, and I will not want us to continue. So please, Ms. Omotesho, can you enlighten us in order to put this address once and for all? Does it include real farming in farming in the farm?
Yes, it does. It does.
It does.
Yes, actually what we do not, as I said, and as I said earlier, we do not have a direct guideline on what to do. But what we are doing right now is to encourage cooperatives, to encourage people to come together as cooperatives. And then apply for farmland where you don't have, and where you have farm, apply for money, money under Peap to further improve on your farm. So I'm surprised that the chairperson is asking this question. The FSP in Lagos State, we have a large expanse of land at Abia, and we encourage all local governments to come and have a portion of farmland, to farm. And as I told them at the last meeting, we are also looking into the possibility of acquiring more land on the Act, for convenience of those on that area. So farming definitely is one of the areas we intend to encourage under Peap.
Thank you. The lady in white.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. The facilitators of this okay. I'm Mrs. C.B. Obe from Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, and my questions are directed to Peap organizers. So, one of my questions is, what effort is Peap making in identifying and contacting the NGOs with proven track record that can assist in the realization of its objectives? Then the second question is, has Peap considered fertility regulation when after the resources might have been granted, knowing fully well that expectant mother has limited role to play?
Thank you. Please, this question they will take in Chief of our lesson session.
Okay. First, I congratulate the paper presenter and the chairman of the occasion. And I want to now talk about the training, because I think one of the ladies there spoke about if they had more of this. But I think that this type of seminar is for the leaders. They have to go back to their various places, train the next group of people, and as such training, as it goes down to the grassroots. So it's unnecessary to continue to train the same group. Number two, the community-based equipment type that was said, like having a tailoring service where people come and with their material and go out with it. What happens to those who are tailors? When will they become self-dependent? Because it means that if you can just carry your cassava in a room and come out with the gari, what have you benefited? Because that is all right for people, but if you want to be a gari producing person, you need equipment to produce this gari. And unless you are helped to get this machinery and place to do it, the communal one will not make you dependent.
Thank you. Please, I would like to clarify you on that. That does not stop anyone who wants to be on his own from being on his own. If the money you are loaning can enable you stand on your own, good luck to you. But we are not talking about majority of Nigerians that even with the 555,000 naira, they cannot start their own gari processing plant because they need the land, they need the infrastructure, they need the building, they need the equipment, they need the working capital. So for those ones, and then maintaining equipment, from my own experience now in business, is worse than the start is not as important as sustenance. If you have your own equipment and it's grounded and you don't have money to buy spare parts or maintain it, you are in trouble. So that's why we are having two options: those who want to go along on their own, and those who will benefit from the community-based pilot project. Thank you. We are.
I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lagos State. I'm Mrs. Eniton Atabiak. I'd just like to clarify something about land. We have an agreed plan holding authority in the ministry. They prefer to deal with cooperative groups. When you form your women cooperative group, you can register with the cooperative department of the ministry. Then you can now apply for land. Lagos State is not very big. So what you apply for, you might not get. You might get, maybe if you apply for 50 hectares, you might get 5. When you get 5, you can, with the help of the extension department of AGP, be advised on what to do to use the land maximally. And there are several kinds of farming. It doesn't have to be.
I'm sorry, madam, I may have to intervene.
Yeah.
Because I may have to interrupt you because you are eating into our time.
I'm sorry.
So maybe advisory leaflets can be written on this for the Peap organizers, which you can now send to the various local governments.
Okay.
If not, you will eat into our time.
It's just that the problem of land keeps coming up, so I said I should clarify that.
Please, if you need more information, please link up with our sister there. Make sure you don't.
I think
On technology.
somebody raised an issue on credit facilities, and we've had problems. That is at the ministry. You have the People's Bank giving loans. You may think 550 is too small, but what our women have been able to do with 5,000, 10,000 is highly commendable. And the beauty is some go and come back for more, and you are encouraged, and one is happy. But then you have another group. They take the money, they do not use it for the specific purposes. But one thing is, for some of the NGOs that have not benefited, somebody raised that question from the Nigerian Industrial and the Agricultural Group. What you do is, when you come to the SSP department for recognition, after you must have been duly registered by the Ministry of Agri, then we now monitor you. Like Dr. Akinola said, we do not want the suitcase cooperative societies and business women. We want to develop and train you to such a level that Dr. Arisala has said. So proper monitoring will be from our side. But
Thank you.
On your part, you fulfill your bid. Thank you.
She's our hostess, so we can afford to cut her short. Any question? Because this area has been cheated.
I'd like to find out from Dr. Akinola what to do about refinancing, because it's sure, like the chairperson has rightly pointed out from her own experience, that there could be need for refinancing after some time or for some projects. So what is Peap going to do? Maybe doctor would like to address that. And then what about access to input on time? And then the need for maintenance agreements. Because I would like to relate an experience. Under the Better Life, there was a village we went to, and they had been trained, they had been sensitized to adopting improved technology. But then they now had problems. They couldn't solve it. And they could not go back to grazing their cassava. So what is going to be done? There is a need for Peap to address all this very, very well. If not, we are going to run into trouble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Kayo Diokorede. I am the Lagos State Chairman of Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists, NASI. My question straight away. I would want Dr. Akinola to please advise the committee regarding abandoned industrial projects of past similar bodies, i.e. Better Life. Because recently I made a tour of, I live very near Badagry, I made a tour of that area and I found a lot of abandoned projects. like this? What would you advise the committee to do about it? Thank you very much, sir.
That was a good question. Please.
Cooperative or your local government. My question is this. Those of us from referral area have a lot of problems. We have a lot of land and they have big trees which is difficult for us to cut. During rainy season like this, we spend a lot of money in labor because there is no tractors. So I want to appeal to the engineers here if they can provide us portable tractors which we can use at the referral area. Second question is this. When we produce our products, these middlemen, they will just come and buy because we don't have money to transport these things to the urban area. So I will appeal to this organizer. They should provide us small canoe that we can use to bring our products direct to the urban area. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, is there any participant?
I would like to know if performance indicators have been added to the policy, because one, we need to know how well are we doing. Are we reaching out to the people that we actually want to reach out to? So I really want to say.
The last question. Thank you, madam. The last question.
Is it likely you introduce a connection with the credit delivery, considering the failure of the past loan schemes? Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is a fear that's justified. From my own experience, and the gentleman from NASI also said it, you see a lot of abandoned projects, equipment have fallen apart. I think we should be proactive and involve people who are going to take loans and pay back loans on those equipment to be part of the process in procuring equipment. That has happened in some successful projects around here. You need to know what is good in the creator, who is fabricating it, will there be maintenance, and I think this also is a way of educating people indirectly even before the project starts. I think that could take care of that. When Peap decides to buy en masse, I think you could buy 10 pieces of equipment. 2 might be relevant in some locations, and the other areas they need to be tailor-made. So I think that's what I would like to say regarding equipment. On market rate, well, the lady from the trust fund is here. They actually have also been providing funds to organizations like yours. And I think Mrs. Egwemi, really, I think the involvement of NGOs here will be central. We should ask Mrs. Egwemi how much interest rate is she charging in our group. I'm aware that some of the front-leading CDA, Community Development Associations, that are giving grants in this country are charging, they don't necessarily, I didn't say charge market rate, it should be near market rate, because that is sustainability. You see, so that you'll be able to carry on. I think it would be instructive to, in fact, bring in practitioners here, at future stages with Peap, to share experiences with them, asking them really what they have been charging. I think Mrs. Egwemi, I'm aware you're charging far more than 10%. I know that. I can give specific examples here because it's actually public knowledge. These reports were prepared for the Microcredit Summit. There's Country Women Association of Nigeria, they are charging close to 40%. There's FADU in Ibadan. FADU is charging over 40%, loan repayment is high. And there's 48% in weather. So having said that, we are not saying go overboard. The market rate is 21%. We can move near it. That's what I'm saying. Well, spare parts and maintenance. Peap, through raw materials, is planning to do an inventory of fabricators. I think they have started something like that. Had discussions with RMDC. This process, I also think, should involve real practitioners out on the field. My organization has conducted a survey of technology profiles in 1992 and last year. As a matter of fact, UNIFEM is interested in diffusing this in the country. It tells you the list of fabricators, who is fabricating what, in which state, the quality of workmanship, the price, and then the people who are going to use their money to purchase those equipment now have on their hands valuable information in terms of who to go and talk to. We also list fabricators who have the capacity to provide after-sales service there. I think Peap should build into its programming all these issues of identifying profiles of technologies as well as availability of spare parts. I think if the equipment are really bought with the actual involvement of people who are taking those loans, we are going to avoid all these pitfalls. I can jump into Mr. Korede's question because it is related. What to do with Better Life projects? In my paper, I said we should see why Better Life failed. Better Life failed because those equipments were dumped. And Better Life failed because there was no stakeholding. If this equipment costs 500,000 naira, and two of us have a stake, and we have put in 100 naira into it, if somebody comes to kick this, we will hold that person. If this equipment costs 50,000 naira, and it does not belong to anybody, then it doesn't belong to anybody. So the area of this paternalistic government is helping poor people. We should be talking about self-reliance. That's what I would say here. So the Better Life thing was because the equipment were just mass contracted. It did not fit into the circumstances of the people who needed them.
In order to effectively utilize our time, we shall not go out for lunch now, but we'll just go straight into the paper. And thankfully, our dear mother, role model, the Yogi of Lagos, this program. And I know she's somebody who is a stickler for time. A round of applause for Chief Mrs. Osborne.
Dr. Aridisala promised us when she got started that she knew we were running behind time and she would make up for all of the lateness and we'll be back on schedule. I don't think that has worked out. So I hope I'm more successful than she is. But considering that she's a very strong consultant, maybe mine won't be as long as we thought. I would like to, first of all, thank the Director General for inviting me to take part in today's activities. I know most of you would like to go and have your lunch now, and since it's been postponed, you might want me to rush through this. So I shall wait until the end to say one or two words about our subject for today. I'm sure you would like to hear the paper first of all, and have an opportunity to make your comments on it. So without delaying you, I'll call on our next presenter, which is Mrs. Inka Akintayo, Managing Director, Lamid Nigeria Limited, Ikeja, to present the paper on socio-cultural issues on family economic advancement program. Mrs. Akintayo.
The Director General, Social Development, Women and Youth Bureau, my chairperson. I'm honored to be called upon to share my experiences and thoughts on this occasion. I've been asked to talk on the socio-cultural issues of faith, and I believe this is quite a broad blanket I've been given, but I'll do my best to cover the salient points within the time available. I salute the vision of Her Excellency, the First Lady, Dr. Mrs. Mariam Sani Abacha, in creating the Family Economic Advancement Program as a panacea to address socioeconomic development in Nigeria. It is also blazing the trail in modeling a new paradigm for our understanding of development itself by giving it a human face. We've been told a lot about that by previous speakers. First of all, I want to put the concept of development in perspective for the purpose of our discussion this afternoon. Our presence here testifies to our common faith in the need for charting this course in national development. Let me ask by asking, first of all, what type of development do we crave?
Many, of course, will answer sustainable development, and they are right. But what does this mean to the ordinary citizen? In spite of decades of emphasis on rapid economic growth in Nigeria, there is a growing awareness that development is not just about increasing growth of national income. Rather, the true value of economic success is measured against how effective it is as a means of achieving basic human needs and social development individually and collectively. I want to look at the concept of development and the challenges it holds to faith. In discussing the social challenges to faith, I wish to draw our attention to recent global trends. As I mentioned earlier, it is now universally accepted that consideration for economic development alone through the exploitation of natural resources to create wealth has only produced a lopsided type of development throughout the world. This is exemplified by the fact that though the global economy has expanded fivefold in the last 4 decades, it has not eliminated dire poverty or even reduced its prevalence. As a result, what we see throughout the world and within countries is first-class wealth coexisting with what I pardon you to allow me use 5-star poverty. The UNDP's recent Human Development Report records that 1.3 billion of the 5 billion inhabitants of the world live in absolute poverty. We have heard what that translates to for our case here in Nigeria. Poverty constitutes social degradation. Today, high among those who stand in need of care are the poor. While one concedes the achievements in the size and overall rapid growth of the Nigerian economy in the last 35 years, it is important also to note the increased pace and scale of population growth, social dislocation, moral decadence, economic destitution, and environmental degradation. Indeed, at some instances, as witnessed in the past in Lagos State, before the commendable intervention of the administration of His Excellency, Colonel Mohammed Buba Marwa, prolonged social and human problems were almost stagnating economic activities. Consequently, it has become necessary to redesign development models to go beyond economic parameters. Development is a process which enables human beings to realize their potential, build self-confidence, and lead lives of dignity and fulfillment. It is a process which frees people from fear of want and exploitation. It is a movement away from political, economic, or social oppression. Through development, political independence acquires its true significance, and it is a process of growth, a movement essentially springing from within the society that is developing. Development therefore implies self-reliant growth, both individually and collectively, that is, as a society. The base for a nation's development must be its own resources, both human and material, fully used to meet its own needs. External assistance can promote development, but to have its effect, this assistance has to be integrated into the national effort and applied to the purpose of those it is meant to benefit. A nation, after all, is its people. Development, therefore, has to be an effort of the people, by and for the people. True development has to be people-centered. It has to be designed to secure the people's social and economic interests. This entails designing models which achieve a balance between social and economic dimensions. My colleagues previously had spoken on the other side of the coin, which is the economic dimensions. I'm required in this paper to talk on the social issues. It is built on principles of self-reliance and general participation, which allow each person opportunity to develop his or her full potential and creativity for the provision of basic needs of all citizens. In other words, sustainable human development includes development approaches which are socially and culturally responsible and acceptable, environmentally responsive, politically and economically viable. It deals with understanding the plight of people today, their aspirations, and their rights to a dignified and healthy life. while ensuring the prudent management of natural resources. Given this understanding, it implies that development's first objective must be to end poverty, provide productive employment, and enable people to satisfy their basic social needs. These goals perhaps describe some of the challenges to FIP in addressing the socio-economic problems of development in Nigeria. It is desirable that we have a common commitment to improve the quality of families and ultimately communities and bring about social change. In introducing FIP, government demonstrates its concern for improved quality of life, equity, and social justice. In other words, the FIP is expected to create for the citizens the enabling conditions for them to realize social advancements by themselves. I stress it here because, listen, as I have done, to most of the contributions we have heard, it's been most of the time we're talking at FIP, and I wonder to myself what it is as individuals or as groups we are going to contribute towards the actualization and implementation of that vision. Society, culture, and the implications it has for FIP. Several challenges, constraints, and concerns of a socio-cultural nature can significantly impact on the realization of the FIP vision, and attention needs to be drawn on them. I will only highlight a few in this paper. My colleague Chief Kurudo had already mentioned some of the required enabling environments that FIP will be predicated on for us to be able to achieve success. What I want to do here is to focus on the social aspects of this. But before that, let me explain the two interrelated concepts involved here, which define the boundaries for this paper, namely society and culture. Broadly speaking, a nation is a society, and a society is a community of people living in a country or region and having shared customs, laws, and organizations. The different components in the system may be families, communities, villages, local governments, states, and of course the nation. Culture in its widest sense includes values, attitudes, beliefs, traditions, and customs of the society. It also includes the collection of views about the human condition, individual and social priorities, morality, rights, and obligations, all of which have become established customs and practices over time. So I want us to broaden our perception of what culture means, to take it out of the way it's typically used in the everyday sense. And I want to look at the need for what I call cultural renewal in our society. In attempting to transform our society through interventions like FIP, there must be a thorough appreciation for the dynamics in the society as well as understanding of the culture. The two together must be a central component of the development strategies. First, for the strategies designed to actualize FIP to bring about social change, they must first be sensitive to the basic shared values, attitudes, beliefs, and customs of the people. Secondly, the strategies must aim at developing the culture itself by positively expanding, deepening, and changing it. Consequently, culture becomes not only an inheritance of the past, but in order to survive, a culture needs to renew itself so as to cope with the present-day issues. In this regard, one must say that indeed some of our traditional cultural traits are inimical to development and may even set it back. On the other hand, economist approaches to development, which show a lack of concern